Hello, my name is Kat, and I'll be covering the Beowulf, an epic poem, which was written by Anonymous, which we will go over right now. Description of work. Title of work. The title of this poem is Beowulf. The creator is unknown, but he, she, they were known as a Beowulf poet. The reason I say they is because it is unknown and it was debated upon whether there was only one person or multiple people who wrote this poem. Dates was also debated upon, but the manuscript date, at least the earliest one that still survives, is in the Noel Codex, which is from 975 to 1025 CE, but potential composition date is from the 7th to 10th century, with the 8th century being the nice sweet spot that most people agreed upon. The culture is medieval Germanic heroic. Original location is also uncertain, but the Anglo-Saxon England is the most agreed upon as well amongst scholars and such. Current location. The Noel Codex contains the only surviving medieval copy of the epic poem of Beowulf, which is located in the English Library in London. Medium being poems. An epic is actually a lengthy narrative poem, usually about extraordinary deeds of a character, just as the epic. Get it? Um, Stories like the Odyssey containing Odysseus and such. Back to Beowulf, though. To the left, you'll see the first page of the Beowulf, which is public domain, which is the author's life plus 100 years or fewer. But in the US, it is public domain because it was published before January 1st of 1931, which I couldn't figure out why. It's a little weird and funny in my opinion. Cultural context. Early medieval Germanic heroic. During this time, poets recited heroic tales, music, poetry, passing it orally for generations, preserving history, mostly about combat, fame, and reputation with a pagan worldview. Germanic heroic in specific. These stories contain semi-mythical heroes journeying and battling monsters and supernatural beings. Beowulf, specifically, is an early medieval Germanic, potentially oral, heroic epic poem with a pagan warrior-based storytelling. So you can see the culture influences the story as a whole. But the reason I say potentially in quotation um, is because it was debated if this epic poems were told and spread orally from person to person before being written down, or if maybe it was because not, no, because of the culture. To the left, you'll see another page about Wolf, which was also part of the 1731 fire. The 1731 fire is when the manuscript was damaged by fire, obviously, but a lot of the text is actually still readable. Contemporary significance. The Beowulf influence. It helped actually establish the heroic archetype, in my opinion, with things like bravery, loyalty, fighting evil, and self-sacrificing. At the end of the story, right before Beowulf passed, before his funeral, there's a dragon attacking his kingdom. He was now king of, and he fought the dragon, being the last monster he actually fought against. And he died due to fatal wounds, defeating the dragon and protecting his kingdom, because that was his responsibility as a king. You'll see this in characters like Frodo, Captain America, maybe Percy Jackson. Depends on whoever, because these archetypes are everywhere, as you know. Relevant themes, though. It remains relevant, obviously, because of heroism, leadership, community responsibility, and the struggle between good and evil that shapes modern storytelling and culture. Like, I don't know, films, novels, video games, TV. There's actually a movie made about it in 2007, which I suggest you could go watch it. um, its culture viewpoints, though, reflects a culture that uses storytelling to preserve identity, teach moral lessons, define heroic ideals. Now my works cited page. I mostly pulled anything I found that I used, which is literally how it works. Um, a lot of these were really helpful. I always hopped between all of these pages to pull something I found useful or something like I want to mention, you know? But that is all. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope you learned a little something, whether it was just you just clicked on this for no reason. That is all. Goodbye.